What is realistic to happen in the 2024 presidential election? I wanted to let the dust settle a little bit after the Trump conviction, and realistically, not much has changed. Now, there are states, and I've seen the polls, and I'll cover them really quick, that seem to possibly be in play for Donald Trump that previously weren't thought of. States like Minnesota and Virginia. And I'll be honest with you guys. If you're sitting there thinking it's going to be a landslide in favor of Trump and he's going to win these states, if he does win those states, the other states almost are irrelevant. It doesn't seem any way that he's going to win Minnesota or win Virginia and not win enough of the other swing states to become president of the United States. So that's why I'm not going to focus on him. Same thing with Joe Biden. If he were to win, say, Ohio or win the state of North Carolina, whatever it might be, it's unrealistic to think that there would be enough states that don't break in his favor, that are in those tight races, those Michigans or Wisconsins or Arizonas, that Joe Biden wouldn't win president of the United States. So I will cover those very briefly, but realistically, let's focus on the 6 states that are actually in play. So here's a map right now showing the odds for every state. This is Polymarket odds. And if you look at the coloration, they got Georgia pretty solidly in Trump's favor at 66%. Same thing with Nevada at 67%. You got Arizona at 61%. The states that are going to be the most difficult, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, for Trump to win, are slightly in Biden's favor. You got Pennsylvania at 52%. You got Michigan at 53%, and then you have Wisconsin at 53%. That's what the odds makers are putting it in. Now, if you look at the polling average, this is Real Clear Politics, showing each one of those states. You got Wisconsin, it's basically a toss-up there at 0.1 in favor of Trump. Michigan at 0.3 in favor of Trump. And then you have Pennsylvania at 2.3 in favor of Trump based on the polling averages. The Sun Belt states are much more favorable to Trump. Now, they still have North Carolina here. Again, if Trump were to lose North Carolina, it would be all over. But they have him at 5.3. Same thing, Nevada 5.3, Georgia 4.8, and Arizona at 4.6. So realistically, those 6 states, the states that are listed here minus the state of North Carolina, are the states that both Trump and Biden are going to be fighting over. Okay, so here, really quick, the last 2 polls in Virginia are ties, and then you got a couple of polls from Minnesota. This is 538, not Real Clear Politics, showing Trump in +2, Trump +5, Trump +4. This was a bunch of different other candidates. Then you got Biden +2, you got Biden +4, you got Trump +3, Trump +5. So there, and then you look at the polling average here of Minnesota on 538, and it's got Biden +2, but the most recent polls have Trump in the lead. Now, I'm not going to consider either one of those 2 states unless we start seeing polling like we've seen from the state of Nevada. So keep in mind, Nevada is outside of the margin of error with Trump +5.3. So realistically, that state seems like it's going to end up in the Trump column based on the polling. Anything can change in the next 5 months, but I'm not going to cover those other states other than just pointing out, yes, I am aware of that, but let's be realistic here and let's talk about the states that are likely to flip here. Go here to 270towin.com, and the way that the map is playing out right now, if you give every single Trump state that he won in 2016 and 2020 back to Donald Trump, and then you give every single Democrat won state in 2016 and in 2020 for Clinton and Biden, minus the state of Nevada, again, based on the polling, this is what the map looks like. You got 235 for Republicans, 226 for Democrats. Realistically, the way that I see this shaking out is the one state, based on the history of how the state is voted, based on the way that they voted in their gubernatorial race in 2022, that Trump cannot afford to lose. I don't see a scenario in which Trump does not win the state of Georgia. Say the state of Georgia stays with Joe Biden, and Trump is able to make up the difference in these northern Rust Belt states that are barely polling in his favor. The odds are still slightly in Joe Biden's favor. Obviously, things can change between now and the election. I don't see that happening. So when I'm saying I'm going to be realistic, if Trump doesn't win Georgia, he's not going to win the election, okay? So Georgia has to stay in the Trump column or has to go back to the Trump column. And if you look here at the odds, again, they have 66%. chance that Trump wins Georgia. I'm operating under the assumption for this video that Trump is going to win the state of Georgia. And then I'm going to talk about some different scenarios in which he could still win the president of the United States without obviously having to sweep all these states. Realistically, you look at it, and the most clear path for him, even though I know, let's go back to the odds here. We got Arizona polling at 61%, Nevada at 67%. It's looking fairly good for Trump in those states, but that math doesn't add up. It's not enough. It's 268 electoral votes. He still needs one of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. It doesn't matter which one if he were to win those two states down south with Georgia. Now, you look here in Nebraska, you can see here the District 2 in Nebraska. It says it's 71% in favor that Joe Biden is going to win that district. Now, Trump won that district in 2016, and then he lost it in 2020. So it is possible for Donald Trump to outright win that back. Now, you can see here, it says Nebraska uniquely allocates 2 votes to the state winner and 3 votes to each congressional district winner. So it's got 5 electoral votes. Donald Trump's going to win the popular vote. He's going to get 2. 3 congressional districts, of which each candidate gets, each winner of that congressional district, whoever gets the most popular votes in that congressional district, will get an additional electoral vote. So Trump's going to get 2. He's almost certainly going to win District 1 and 3. District 2 is a little bit more of a toss-up. Again, he's won it in the past, so it is possible that he wins that. And going back to the map here, if we were to switch that for Nebraska to Trump, he'd get 269 and let Biden sweep the northern states. It's 269. Neither candidate gets there, which means it then goes to the House of Representatives. That is a possibility, especially since Nebraska is still talking about potentially making the state a winner-take-all between now and the election. I don't realistically think that's going to happen. I think Trump would have to outright win it, and that's not super likely, but it is a scenario that I want to throw out there. But realistically, he doesn't win that district. If he just wins the Sun Belt states, the Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, he will lose the presidency by 2 electoral votes. So realistically, even those are the most likely states to go for Trump. If you looked at the odds, the 3 states up north, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, seem to be based on the betting odds, coin flips. If you looked at the polling odds, certainly Michigan and Wisconsin are up for grabs. And then Pennsylvania, it's about a little bit under 2.5 point lead for Trump in Pennsylvania. But it's real simple. Just look at this right now. You got 251 votes, assuming the state of Georgia goes back to Donald Trump. The state of Pennsylvania gets you there. So realistically, even though he is doing very well in Arizona and Nevada, the math doesn't add up. That's only 17. He needs 19 electoral votes. So he would have to win Arizona, Nevada, and either Michigan, Wisconsin, or Pennsylvania, which obviously it's more likely that Trump just wins Pennsylvania than wins Nevada, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. So that, to me, is the most likely scenario. He wins Georgia, he takes back Pennsylvania. The other states won't matter. He'll be at exactly 270. Another scenario is he loses Pennsylvania. Now, losing Pennsylvania is going to be huge. It's going to be a battle. Everyone knows in both campaigns that Pennsylvania is going to be potentially decide the election. Joe Biden absolutely can't lose it. He knows he's likely to lose Georgia. If he loses Georgia, Pennsylvania is the math for Donald Trump to get 270. He cannot let Pennsylvania go. Donald Trump knows that too. He knows that if he goes hard at Pennsylvania and wins, the other states are irrelevant as well. But let's say Joe Biden wins Pennsylvania. The next most likely scenario is that he picks off 2 states, the 2 states in the South, and then he gets one of these 2 states up north. And actually, realistically, if it's just Arizona, because if he gets Arizona and either Wisconsin, that gets him 272, or gets him Arizona and Michigan, that gets him 277, that gets him there. So realistically, the next closest path is Georgia, Arizona, and either Michigan or Wisconsin. Now, he could lose Arizona and win Nevada, Georgia, and then he would specifically have to win Michigan, assuming he lost Pennsylvania. That would give him a slight victory at 272 to 266. Again, I think that the most likely path, given everything that's happening right now, is Donald Trump wins the state of Georgia, wins the state of Pennsylvania, gets back into the White House on the backs of those 2 states, and the other swing states don't matter. So let's give Joe Biden all of them. It's 268. Leave them blank, and just so you know exactly which states they are. He's still stuck at 226. Doesn't matter how the rest of those states break. If you see on election night they call the state of Georgia for Donald Trump, he's going to be in pretty good shape. He has multiple different paths. Joe Biden really needs to win those northern states. He's not pulling well enough in those southern states to let Michigan, for example, go, or Wisconsin, for example, go, because Trump's likely to win Arizona and match that for a victory. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button and follow me on X for more content like this.